Chapter 14. Cancer and Our Sun. Those who have attempted to convince the world that the Sun, the Earth's primary source of energy and life, causes cancer, have done so with malicious intent to deceive the masses into retreating from the one thing that can prevent the disease. This is a quote by Dr. David Mihalovic. According to humantarafree.com, avoiding the sun's rays is a misinformed trend, therefore causing a global rise in cancer. Of course, that is part of the grand scheme. A causative link between the sun and cancer does not exist. The sunscreen industry and the cancer industry have made it a mission to convince the world that sunlight is a cause of skin cancer. In fact, sunlight is shown to prevent it as well as many other forms of cancer. According to nutritionist Dharani Krishnan, we don't expose ourselves enough to the sun, and said that we sleep in air-conditioned rooms, commute in air-conditioned cars and work in air-conditioned offices. This results in vitamin D deficiency, as sunlight is the only major source of vitamin D. All we need to do is stand under the sun for 15 minutes at least 3 times a week. Exposure to ultraviolet B radiation in sunlight provides the mechanism for more than 90% of the vitamin D production in most individuals. The widespread use of sunscreens, particularly those with high SPFs, may lead to a decrease in solar-induced provitamin D3 in the skin, resulting in a vitamin D level which is insufficient for protection against a wide range of diseases. Results have shown that women who had at least 21 hours a week of exposure to the sun's rays in their teens were 29% less likely to get cancer than those getting under an hour a day. For women who spent the most time outside in their 40s and 50s, the risk fell by 26%, and for those above 60 years of age, sunshine halved their chances of a tumor. Exposure to sunlight and ultraviolet light has been repeatedly shown not to be the cause of skin cancer. No scientific paper has ever proven that sunlight causes cancer in humans. Many scientists have established that the toxicity level of the human body which reacts with the UV spectrum is what causes cancer, not the sunlight itself. It has been known that vitamin D can prevent the genetic damage that leads to cancer. Vitamin D binds to receptors and it sets off a chain of events by which many toxic agents, including cancerous cells, are rendered harmless. McGill professor Dr. John White said that this is one of the reasons that people living closest to the equator have a much lower incidence or absence of specific cancers, which consequently increase in location further from the equator. Dr. Anthony Petticoat, who studies the effects of vitamin D2 and D3 on mutating cells, said that the millions of people who live near the equator are not susceptible to the same level of disease or even the same diseases as those who live further from the equator. Almost every disease decreases in frequency and duration as we move towards equatorial populations, and the data shows that there is a minimum of a 1000% increase for many diseases in countries further from the equator. It is known that vitamin D has a wide range of physiological effects and that correlations exist between insufficient amounts of vitamin D and an increased incidence of a number of cancers. These correlations are strong for cancers of the digestive tract, including colon cancer and some types of leukemia. UVA and UVB can cause tanning and burning, and UVA penetrates your skin more deeply than UVB, but UVB appears to be protective against melanoma, meaning that outdoor workers have a decreased risk of melanoma compared to indoor workers. More than 3/4 of people with a variety of cancers have low levels of vitamin D. Apparently, if you are vegetarian, like myself, it is more difficult to get vitamin D from your diet, and the experts suggest more exposure to sunlight. Dr. Tusner Park, author of A New Way to Eat, said that besides milk products and mushrooms, a vegetarian diet does not contain much vitamin D. Nutritionist Divya Sathiraj commented that prolonged deficiency of vitamin D may cause rickets. The growth and maintenance of bones depend on the intake of vitamin D. Lack of vitamin D may lead to tooth decay, brittle bones, retarded growth and poor bone formation in children, muscular weakness and premature aging. Dermatologists and the cancer industry tell you to avoid the sun because they love repeat business, as the widespread use of sunscreen leads to a decrease in sun-induced pre-vitamin D3. Comprehensive scientific reviews indicate that 83% of 785 sunscreen products contain ingredients with significant safety concerns. Only 175 of the products on the market block both UVA and UVB radiation, which is the intended purpose by manufacturers. An assessment based on a review of nearly 400 scientific studies, industry models of sunscreen efficiency and toxicity, and regulatory information housed in nearly 60 government, academic and industry databases. Almost half of the 500 most popular sunscreen products contain vitamin A or its derivatives retinol and retinyl palmitate, which accelerate tumor growths. Public health watchdogs claim that almost 90% of melanomas are attributed to exposure to ultraviolet (UV) radiation from the sun. Fascinating but a lie. In 2012 there were 14 million new cases of cancer worldwide and 8.2 million cancer-related deaths. The annual number of new cases is projected to increase to 22 million within the next 20 years. Lighter skin color allows the deeper penetration by UVB rays, which decreases the amount of sunlight exposure needed for vitamin D production. If you have darker skin, it's harder for the UVB rays to penetrate your skin in order to create vitamin D, which in turn means that you need greater exposure and for longer. Living above 35 degrees latitude north or below 35 degrees latitude south means that you receive little or no UVB rays from autumn to spring, and during this time the body relies on the vitamin D created during warmer months or from the intake of food, etc. The higher you live above sea level, the greater the exposure to UVB rays. So what can the ingredients of sunscreen or sun cream do to your health? Anastasia Stephens at the Daily Mail found the following answers. A chemical called methyl dibromoglitteronitrile can cause rashes and swelling, say European Commission scientists. UVB filters or cinemates such as Sinoxate, octocrylene and octylmethoxycinnamate, OMC, work by absorbing UVB light, deflecting harmful radiation from the skin, but they are common skin irritants, and a study published in the New Scientist found cinemates can cause some cells to die prematurely. The Norwegian Radiation Protection Authority tested mouse skin and found that half the cells died after contact with a weak dose of OMC. While shining a lamp on the impregnated cells to stimulate sunshine made the chemical twice as toxic. UVA filters or benzophenones are a family of chemicals including oxybenzone, dioxybenzone and butylmethoxydibenzoylmethane, which are commonly used in sun creams to absorb UVA light. They can sensitize the skin, making it prone to inflammation, rashes and allergic reactions. Some experts believe that when exposed to UV rays, the ingredients can break down into chemicals which destroy or inhibit the skin's natural defenses against sunlight. This could exacerbate the risk of skin cancer and premature aging. Sunblocks are zinc and titanium oxide mineral-derived sunblocks which reflect light, bouncing it away from the skin. Sunburn preventers contain salicylates, which are aspirin-like chemicals and act as antiseptics. These chemicals are found in almonds, apples and apricots and won't harm most people. However, those who are sensitive to aspirin may find that they are sensitive to sun creams containing the same ingredients. Skin protectors such as PABs, including p-aminobenzoic acid, ethyl dihydropropyl PABA, Padamet, Padamet, and glycerol PABA are used to prevent skin damage, but they can irritate the skin and form formaldehyde and other carcinogenic substances when combined with chemical ingredients such as D&T. Preservatives including parabens are among the most widely used. Derived from plant and petroleum sources, they may trigger irritation on skin. Such chemicals, which have a cumulative effect, are thought to be linked to increases in cases of breast cancer and a fall in male sperm counts. Some parabens are suspected carcinogens. The skin absorbs up to 60% of what is put upon it, and according to Patrick Gallagher at thenaturalsociety.com, sunscreen can cause cancer and thinks that it's either widespread ignorance or that the FDA has kept this secret under wraps. The FDA has supervised and funded the studies showing key ingredients related to vitamin A as carcinogenic. They knowingly prevented the information from being released to the public, up until recently. Posting in May 2012, about 8% of all sunscreens have been quality tested by the Environmental Working Group, EWG, to be both safe and effective for the intended use, whereas the other 92% contain at least one of the ingredients designated as detrimental for human use. This means the public not only has been encouraged to buy something that is known to be detrimental for at least a decade, but is only left with a selection that is 8% safe. Not only that, but the sunscreens widely credited as preventative cures for skin cancer are also the root cause of a widespread vitamin D deficiency, a vitamin known to slash flu risk. In connection with this, David Wilcock uncovers in his book entitled The Source Field Investigations that there is strong evidence that all life forms upon the Earth must continuously absorb photons of light, and store them in their DNA in order to survive. Sun cream would be blocking such light. He says that for biological life, the most important frequency is 380 nanometers, and if this frequency gets scrambled, our DNA can't absorb and store the light it needs, and we then develop cancer.